Hi, and welcome to our series called Reach Out. This is the first session in it, and really, I'm hoping in this session that we will rethink how we preach the gospel, how we actually reach out to our friends and family with the good news of Jesus Christ. You know, if you're anything like me, you, at some part of you, is a creature of habit. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I eat kaya with bread every morning with my coffee, in my Mickey Mouse cup. You know, there are so many things that I just do routinely. And so when you say breakfast, that's what I immediately think of. And maybe you're the same way when it comes to evangelism. When somebody says to you, hey, you know what, you need to preach the gospel. Hey, you need to go out and reach out to your friends. In your head, you think, oh, I know what that is. I have to invite them to an evangelistic Christmas meeting that FGA has. I need to call Pastor Chris and invite him over so that he can talk to my friend, about the gospel of Jesus. Or maybe in your head, you've got this idea that the gospel means the 4 spiritual laws, and so you sit down with your friend after they've expressed interest in God and they're wondering about Christianity. You sit them down and you go, okay, this is what it is, and then you just go through something that you've learnt a long while ago, and then that might be good, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having things that when you think gospel, it conjures up a familiar habit. Great Christians who've grown up in church should have something that they go to. But this series is about expanding that. It's about saying, hey, could it be more than what our preconception is? Could it be more than what we're used to? Because let me just be very honest with you right now as you begin this home group series. Our church, the global church, the church in Australia, has not been doing well with evangelism. And think about that in your own life. That means for you, whatever method you have, when people say, hey, evangelism, how has that been working? Have we been bringing a lot of people to Christ? And I understand, not everybody brings a person to Christ. Some water, some plant, some sow, right? Brilliant. But as an entire broad strategy, the things that used to work in the past are not working as well now. And especially since we're going through a year of probably the greatest change that we've seen in the last few decades, right? We have to be willing, I think, as a church, if we are serious about the Great Commission, if we take seriously that the gospel is good news, we have to go, hey, the message is still always the same. It's the great good news that the world needs to hear, but the methods have to be open for transformation, right? And that's what this series is. It's to help us to think about how can we, in this new environment, reach out in different ways. You know, I really like the key verse for today, and that's found in Isaiah 61, 1 and 2. It says this: the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has appointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives, and to the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. And it goes on to comfort those who mourn, and on and on. This is significant, one, because it's not just in the Old Testament. Jesus Christ himself quotes this in the New Testament, but it's significant because it uses the word good news, which in the Greek, so when it's translated into the New Testament, it translates as euangelion, or that's where we get the word evangelism, the good news or the gospel, right? And in this passage, you see how the gospel, it's the same good news, but it could be for the poor. It could be proclaiming liberty to captives. It could be lots and lots of different things, a lot of different ways. And we're hoping that you can think outside of the box for the gospel, because FGA, the whole church, needs to reach out to others using all kinds of the gifts and avenues that God has given us. You know, in your context, that might mean that maybe we're considering using methods like WhatsApp. Maybe we're using social media. Maybe we are expanding. We're going a little bit outside of our comfort zone. Maybe we have to rethink even the way we're presenting the gospel, which is why today we're going to be looking at a new, hopefully like a new way of memorizing the gospel, which we're doing this year. It's not to say that the other ones are different or worse. It's just we're trying to increase what FGA can do in terms of its different ways of presenting the gospel. And I'm hoping that in this session, you will cover that in your home group, because everyone learns differently. Everyone interacts differently. And if you look at how the gospel has transformed, the method of reaching other people has transformed over the centuries, indeed millennia, I think you'll find that the gospel is so resilient. Now, there's one caveat that I want to sort of just put out there, all right? Because some of you, intuitively, you get it. Oh yes, that's right. You know, we have to be very creative with our methods. We can maybe take people out for fry kway teow, or we can go play tennis with people. You know, we don't just need to preach the gospel from the Bible and the 4 spiritual laws. But I want to warn you against one caveat, right? Which is this. Sometimes we can get too concerned with the message, too concerned with the method, right? And then all you end up doing is method. And so all you have is like 20 years of playing table tennis with somebody or eating fry kway teow for like 10 years with somebody, and you never tell them the good news. That's not good either, all right? Because we have a purpose. The reason why we're doing this Reach Out series is because it's mandated by God. We don't want to be like the many parables that Jesus tells us, you know. We don't want to be the person with the one talent that hides it. We don't want to be that plant that produces no fruit. We don't want to be the person who God says, hey, you are my ambassadors here on earth to spread the good news, to bring my kingdom come. And we say to God, with all of our time, with all of our resources and the friends that God has given us, we've said, hey, I came up with nothing. I had a lot of fry kway teow, but I never actually proclaimed the message. I think let's be conscious that there's a lot of different methods that have to be used, and we're hoping to expand that today with you. But at the same time, we must never forget that we have been created with a purpose. The world most certainly needs the Lord. People need the Lord. Your friends, your family need the Lord. And we are that body of Christ, the hands and feet of Christ, who are the ones who have the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and He's anointed me to bring good news to the poor and others. That means we are the ones to bring the gospel out, and we have to ensure that the core message of the gospel gets out, and that it gets out by all means possible, by different methods. I hope you have a really good discussion in your home group, and I look forward to hearing some creative methods. God bless.